Hey everybody, Pastor Vern with the daily update for August 28th, 2020. The last Friday in August for this year. We're moving right along through this year. Amazing how fast it's gone considering the change in our lives and what's been uh, what we can and can't do and what our comfort zone might be for that kind of activities that we were kind of used to. And today we're talking about the book of Acts, and sometimes it's called the fifth gospel. Not truly a gospel, but it has some of the same characteristics. We believe that it was written by Luke, and it was actually an extension of the book of Luke. That maybe it got broke into two books because of the fact that the Acts book goes beyond Jesus's death and resurrection and his ascension, and kind of moves into the next phase. It didn't really fit in the gospel technically, so maybe even if it was written all as a continuation of the book of Luke, that it was divided out because of the subject matter. And essentially, what Luke in this book becomes the historian for about the first 30 years of the church. Remember, the church is theoretically formed at Pentecost. The disciples are bound together by the Holy Spirit, and the church starts to develop. And Luke covers that history in the witness of Jesus Christ throughout the world through his apostles. Remember, we're talking about the disciples, the learners. Apostles are sent out or doers. A lot of the disciples make this transition along with other members of the early church. Sometimes this book is called the Acts of the Disciples or the Acts of the Apostles. Sometimes it's called the Acts of the Holy Spirit. It's had some kind of, it's been bannered about a little bit over the centuries. It's where Pentecost links the Old Testament prophecy to a New Testament history. It kind of links us together from what we've heard from the prophets, in especially the major prophets in the Old Testament, to where we are in the New Testament. It is really fascinating reading when you take time to read it carefully. There's quite a lot of detail in it, and about specific acts and specific apostles. We see our first martyr in the book of Acts. Um, we see some powerful preaching. We see some people who risk everything and to spread the good news. And we also see some people who were persecutors of the church who are turned around and become followers of the church. Really, a lot of very interesting things if you're into seeing how the church grew. And really, it's still a blueprint for today's churches in many ways. If we had the wherewithal, the courage, the power, the commitment today to recreate the way Acts built the church, we might be looking at a very different scenario in our current situation in Christianity, where we has seems to have had some decline in recent years. And uh, maybe reading the Book of Acts will give you some ideas of where you can be a solid apostle of Christ. It was really broke down into probably about three sections. It's the work in Jerusalem to enhance the church. Remember, the apostles were told to stay in Jerusalem at first until they were sent out across the world. Then to work in Judea and Samaria, which is can be pretty fascinating. Judea is a relatively safe place for the apostles, where Samaria is not. And then we go into how the gospel goes into the rest of the world beyond the known areas around Galilee and around the areas where Jesus did his preaching. How the gospel moves out across into places where oftentimes the gospel is picked up into places that are in need of guidance, in need of change, and often places that are influenced by multi generational pagan gods. And so we learn more about how we navigate the world in a world that doesn't really care to hear about it, the good news, so much through the book of Acts. All right. So I guess that's kind of wraps up the Gospels and the book of Acts. And now we're going to move into next week, we'll move into the epistles and into the corrective letters, as sometimes they're called, of the church, where specific things are addressed and specific churches and individuals are given guidance. All right, y'all take good care of yourself. Watch out for others the best you can in our current situation and be safe. We'll see you later.